Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam, rasulillah, wa ala alihi, sahbihi, wa man wala. So I was tasked to give you guys an image of what Young Muslims is as an organization. Now, thinking about this, I want to be brutally honest with you today. I'm not gonna, tone it down, make it all fluffy for you so that, this ideal image of what the youth is. I'm not gonna make it like that for you. I'm gonna be brutally honest. Some things that I've really dealt with, and this is my story. And there's countless other stories like this in this room. So my story begins 3 years ago when I first came to this conference. I was not aware of what Young Muslims was and what this organization entailed. I was sitting in many of the same seats that you are sitting in, and I was thinking to myself, where is my family? Where are my younger brothers? I have 3 younger brothers, no sisters, right? This gets kind of crazy in my house. But I thought to myself, where are my younger brothers? Right? If they're not here today, where are they? And a lot of the adults might be wondering where are the children? Are they here today? And as I began to think about this, I spent a whole weekend trying to figure out how can I get my brothers to come here, just to get them on this Sirat al-Mustaqim. And I kept thinking to myself, I couldn't figure it out. And I went home empty-handed, or at least I thought I went home empty-handed, And it happened. A few days after that, I just made a few friends here, one or two friends I just made just walking around talking to people, stopping by the Young Muslims booth in the bazaar. And that's when it really hit me. That's when it hit me how I can bring my family here, how I can give them this message. But before I get into how that happened, I want to talk about why it was so important for me. You see, like me, I didn't grow up in a really, really bad neighborhood. And by saying that, when I tell you some of these stories, you can just imagine how bad it is in some other parts of this country, right? Just, I would say, a block away from my house is a nice musalla. You can pray there 5 times a day. Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing for me and my family. But if you go 2 blocks the other way, wallahi, this is one apartment that the amount of cocaine coming in and out of this apartment. Now I know a lot of your heads just turned, but wallahi, the amount of cocaine coming in and out of this apartment. I don't know what to tell you. I have 3 younger brothers. And they hang out in these places. And this is not even the worst of it. This is not even the worst of it. Just this morning, I was coming here. I was walking from my hotel. And one of my roommates, he tells me that he graduated 2 years ago, and he said one of his classmates that graduated with him passed away last night. Wallahi, I can't make this up. He passed away from overdose of drugs. And these are real concerns. And I'm telling you, I don't live in a really bad neighborhood. I don't have gang violence. I don't have these issues. But these are real concerns. And so, just thinking about these issues, what do I need to do? How do I need to protect my family? How will I be held accountable on the Day of Judgment when Allah asks me, look, we gave you this message, but did you convey it to your own family? Did you take care of your own family? I wouldn't know how to answer that at that point. And so this organization really stood at the forefront of this. Not fighting drugs, just really putting youth on a positive and the right path. So what happened next is that I slowly began to network, and we began to put together this program, a weekly halaqah. Nothing too serious. We would play basketball afterwards or just hang out. And so what happened is, you start to connect with the youth. You start to hear more and more concerns. When I was in middle school, probably the worst of the youth then were maybe smoking cigarettes. Probably the worst, that's what they were doing. Right? Now, I can tell you this for a fact. I know kids in the same middle school that have needle marks in their arms. That have needle marks. Can you explain to me what that means? What do you do at that point? You hear there's so much darkness. What do you do? That's the reality of this life. But that's not even the worst of it. That, hey, my younger brothers might be friends with these guys and might get influenced. Maybe if they're not bad, it's, maybe somewhere down the line, they might make a wrong choice. They might trust the wrong person. So what happened next is that, our youth group started becoming a little bit better. We started bringing in more and more youth in the community. And it got to a point where when I heard this, wallahi, I don't know what to tell you. Some of the uncles in our community, this is what they said to the masjid board. They said, we don't like these kids. They said, we don't like these kids, you should kick them out and start this youth group over. This is not a joke. This is a real concern, and I guarantee you can ask any of these youth groups. They deal with these same concerns. And I'm not here to bash the masjid boards. This is not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to show you that, out of ignorance, maybe they just didn't know what we were doing, but this is what I heard. I didn't know how to go and tell this uncle that how do I know where my younger brothers are going to be on the Day of Judgment? Who are they going to be raised with? Who are their friends they are going to be raised with? I didn't know how to tell them. I didn't know how to tell them. But that's not even the worst part. That's not even the worst part of some of the issues that we deal with as an organization. That's not even the worst part. The worst part came a few weeks later. During one of our weekly halaqat, we were sitting, and it took about a year to finally get some of these youth to ask some of these questions, to ask some of these real questions. And one of the brothers, he says, how do I know that Allah is real? How do I know that Allah is real, that He exists? How can He exist forever? You see, that's a bigger concern. Our faith, right? That's what this conference is about. That is a bigger concern. And I was scared at that point. I knew, how to answer it. I've had this answer to me many times. But at that point, I had to throw my hands in the air. I had to ask Allah. I had to put my hands up and ask Allah, Ya Allah, don't let me screw this up. Because if I answer this wrong, I failed. And watching that's where I want to tell you what our real purpose is. Right? Our real purpose is that moment, right? Imagine your families. If any of your families right now, someone gets hurt, God forbid, breaks an arm or feels any type of physical or mental or emotional pain, you feel it in your own heart. You feel it. But what about the pain spiritually? Do you feel that pain? Where this person will be on the day of judgment? Will you not be sad if this person isn't there with you in Jannah? You see, as an organization, it's not important to us where people are right now. It's important to us where they will end up. Because we truly will be sad if we don't see you in Jannah. And that's what I'm sad about too. That if I didn't get to see my younger brothers in Jannah, I don't want to be there if my younger brothers aren't there, if my mother isn't there, if my father isn't there. And so I have to work that much harder. And young Muslims every week, for me, stood at the forefront of these issues. Forefront of these issues, fighting there. But you see, now when I begin to give you this real image of what we really do, of how much we care, maybe it doesn't mean much to you as I'm saying it up here. So what I want to ask you is that every one of you to go and experience this for yourself. Go and experience this for yourself at any of our halaqat across the country. From here to California to Texas to New York, anywhere. And you will feel this. And that's where you will understand what Young Muslims is. You see right here, this conference. We're here, mashallah, it's a beautiful stage. We have amazing speakers. This conference, the amount of hard work that went into this, the day in, day out, the planning, the conference calls, the meetings, that is not even half of the amount of work that we put in to this organization. That is not even half of the amount of work. Our real work, real values that we stand for, they are for you to experience anywhere, every weekend in the year, whether it's a Friday or a Saturday across the country. And I challenge you to please go visit and see what it is. Because these issues that I told you up here, some of these are even toned down. I can give you worse stories than this. I can give you personal stories that are so bad your jaw will drop. But I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to show you that what we are here for. That this conference, as beautiful as it is, it's not even half of the work that's actually being done. That the people that are even planning this are still attending their own Friday halaqat, that are still giving youth the time in their communities. That's what Young Muslims is. And I ask you sincerely to please take some time and visit the Young Muslims booth, ask questions, and go on and inshallah, I ask you to please, sincerely, to take a moment and to think about what we need. So with that being said, I ask Allah for forgiveness for anything wrong that I've said, and anything good that I've said has only come from Him. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am a Young Muslims member, and this is my story.